Recording in progress.
Good morning, members. Could you just show our faces? I was just delaying just to make sure we do have the quorum. We're fine now. We should start.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members.
Morning, Honorable Marina Fons. Good morning, Honorable Ndamase. Morning, Honorable Labus Kahne. Morning.
Good morning, Chairperson. Can you see me? Am I audible?
Yes, I can see you. Hey, Honorable Saint, you are around.
How are you,
Yeah,
Chair?
welcome. I'm fine,
Good,
thanks.
man.
Welcome.
I'm traveling, Chairperson. I'm traveling. I'm just hoping that the signal is not too bad.
Nah, it looks good so far. It makes you even look
Thank you, Chair.
very visible over there. So thank you very
Yes,
much.
on my end, I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I request that we have take a moment of silent prayer and meditation? Thank you. May I declare this meeting open and welcome all the honorable members and members of the team across the platform. You're all welcome. And we have a short meeting today. May I request Shireen to flight the agenda on the screen? Thank you very much. As you will see now, would like to see if the members can adopt this agenda. Please, can I have a mover? I note that Honorable...
I move for adoption, Chair.
Thank you, Direko. Honorable, any seconder?
Supported, Chair.
Dabezita Sheng, thank you. Welcome.
God. Thank you, God.
Thank you, because we have apology from Honorable Mkalipi. She is on the platform, but the network is unstable, so it might be on and off. So we note that. The rest of the members have seen you all showing very good may we then proceed? Oh, I noticed that mine is unstable, so I'm going to request Honorable Rego if you just the issue this time around is our discussion on the report, and then at the end we will do the announcement, which will be the program of the committee and the study tour. Sherin will come and give us that at the end. Thank you very much. Therefore, can we then request that since the report was tabled, please flight it, so we'll just walk from paragraph to paragraph. I think it's better if we walk paragraph to paragraph, and then at the end, we'll ask the members to make any comments that might be necessary, and therefore we can do the overall comment at the end. Thank you very much. I've now been advised to switch off my video. Thank you, Honorable Member. I hope that does the magic. So, members, I'm going to ask that we comment on item to item until we get to the end. And at the end of it, I'm going to ask the members to make comments right across the report, whatever they wish to comment about. But for now, we want to do the corrections, additions, amendments, and any area that we think needs to be strengthened or amended. So we start with that overview. I assume the members do have their own report. So we have the overview. Do you have any comments, any concerns on that one? If there are no hands, I just move on. So let's just move slowly up with the overview. I take it that the members have their own report, and so I will not read. I will just simply highlight the heading, and then we can pick it up from there. On the overview, it's basically just highlighting all the various departments, the sections of the department that we are dealing with, and then I think we should then move to the next aspect, which is the submission by SALGA. And members can look at the introduction there. If there's nothing to raise, we move on to the non-financial performance on SALGA. You've got there with a table which we took from the report. Then we got financial performance. Again, we got another table over there on SALGA. And then you've got, that's the end of SALGA. Is there anything that we think needs to be amended or added on SALGA that does not appear on the report? If there's any suggestion, please raise your hand. I don't see a hand. We go to the next item 3, which is Department of Cooperative Governance. Again, there's an introduction here where talks broadly about the content of the report, and then it goes to the area of the non-financial performance, goes into quite a bit of details on the issues that were raised: improvement in municipal senior management appointment, professionalization of local government, dedicated focus on the top 10 distressed municipalities, and then programs, program 1, program 2, up to program 5, and all these programs having achieved 87% of performance. Program 3, governance, 88% achievement, and then program 4, national disaster management, and then you got a graph, or you got a diagram there. Then we go to 3.2. 3.2 is looking at financial performance. Then we move to, there's a whole graph over there on the performance. And then we move on, don't move too fast, so that the members can indicate if they are having any area. Then, of course, we've got that whole table that looks at various issues that are across the different departments. And then that's it on the DCOC. And then we go to item 4 now, which is the infrastructure support agents, municipal infrastructure support agent. And then on non-financial performance, goes through how the performance went up to 16 out of 19, and then it's got the 4 programs. Then it's got a graph that summarizes the trends over the years, and then you go to 4.2, which is financial performance. Clean audit went to unqualified audit with findings 2024-25. Then there's a table, and we move on. Entity recorded under expenditure. Then we move out of that to item 5, traditional affairs. Again, here, non-financial performance. Only one target not achieved, performance target. Then there's the rest of the screen, the table on the screen. 5.2, financial performance. Again, takes us through to a table with all the different classifications. goes up to now the next one, number 6, Municipal Demarcation Board submission, reporting resolution to place the CEO on suspension, and then meetings convened with Independent Electoral Commission, and it goes on to 6.19 non-financial performance. Again, you've got the whole table with paragraphs showing you their programs. Moves on to the different programs, itemize each one of them, and the board opted for a more granular approach to public consultation. It goes through municipal outer boundary determination issues, goes through financial constraints and dependencies on municipalities, and then it gets to financial performance, which is item 6. Here you've got a whole text reported to have lost 7 million over the last financial year due to budget cuts, and then it shows you the budget. Let's move on. Then we go to CRL Commission. Again, it gives us the whole background, goes through to non-financial performance, goes through to financial performance. Now, these are largely the submissions given to us. Well captured, I must say, well summarized. And then we go to item 8, committee observations. So we start with SALGA. There's an issue around the disconnect between achievement and underperformance in member municipalities. I think that's captured well. Unpacking SALGA's strategic profiling mandate. That's the next one. The next one is employee-related costs. It's explaining how SALGA focus on absolute necessities and high expenditure, and which is employee-related cost. ESCOM debt resolution. It's got a whole text there over that issue. And then it goes to waste management. Captured the comments from the committee. SALGA believes it's a behavioral issue, and they're dealing with clean city programs. Compliance with municipal staff regulations. Again, support to build capable and reputable local government. And SALGA Association holding members accountable. So those are the comments on SALGA. Is there any comment that we think might have been left out? Let's proceed. Department of Cooperative Governance. Recognition of an acknowledgement of progress made. The Sekukune outstanding matter. Capacity constraints. Disaster grant expenditure. Then municipal infrastructure grant expenditure. Then the regular expenditure issues, unauthorized expenditure, and the tabling of 47-48 report, MEC's concurrences with senior manager appointment, not fruitful participation in municipal interventions. Again, those are capturing the comments from the committee. Public-private partnerships, professionalization of local government, district development model issues, paralysis by politics, municipal. Then, of course, the next one. Municipal infrastructure support agent. Errors in financial statements, irregular office accommodation contract, budget under expenditure. We pass that. We go to traditional affairs, tracking of resolution of National House, issues raised by Amakosi during National Traditional Indaba, customary initiation, tools of trade, Then we go to Municipal Demarcation Board, duplication of voting districts in eThekwini, final ward handover to Independent Electoral Commission, regional representation, budget deficit, unresolved ward boundaries, splitting of communities, improved audit outcome. And then we go to CRL. CRL, consultative process on self-regulation, a big issue there. Memorandum addressed to the President, improved audit outcome, marginalized languages. Then we get to the recommendations. So I'd like you to pay careful attention here. I won't read each of the resolutions. I'll simply just highlight them as they stand. Firstly, on SALGA, comprehensive briefing on the resolutions regarding necessity to look beyond good organizational performance and making impact on municipalities. To apprise, excuse me, to apprise the committee on the outcomes of discussions with the Department of Electricity, COCTA, etc., and to lobby for Organized Local Government Act to provide scope for association to have an active role in holding members accountable. Those were the three recommendations on the SALGA issue. Anybody wishes to make any additions or comments on the SALGA issues? Any comments on the SALGA? We are now on recommendations of the committee based on our discussion. Recommendations, there are three. We move then to the next one, which is DCOC. Furnish the committee with a report of latest development regarding the recovery of the Sekukuni money. Provide latest update regarding litigation against the department and INSIGA on committee workers, worker program, lack of coherent information strategy, communication technology strategy, and then D, ensure the municipal infrastructure grant go beyond the quantitative aspect, providing quarterly feedback to the committee. Just a second, my gadget has just thrown the things out of my sight. Okay, then the next one, reintroduce the annual performance plan, inclusion of a target relating to tabling to Parliament of section envisaged in section 48. Then F, keep portfolio committee apprised of the department's feedback to the Auditor General regarding issues raised on irregular and authorized expenditure. And also anti-corruption strategy. G, enforce implementation of municipal support improvement plans. H, brief committee on revised disaster grant allocations on those provinces. I, provide feedback on the work being undertaken in the city of Johannesburg. And then J, submit written confirmation to the fact that the department will be able to support parliamentary process on intergovernmental monitoring support and interventions bill. I think we're supposed to have let's give the department, let's say a month to do this. So just amend that they should be done in a month, so it's not left open-ended. And then attend the gaps identified by the AG regarding the implementation of the professionalization and keeping of the list of municipal list. People dismissed of misconduct. Then I'll share with the committee the list of districts on DDM successes and failures. M, provide a report on interministerial task team to respond to AG, including the task team's focal areas. Let's give the department again here a month because the task team was set up last year. That's on DCOC. Any comments, additions, amendments? Just factor in what I've just indicated on the timelines. All right, we don't have any comment there. Let's go to MISA. Here, with a report in connection with the regular office accommodation contract, and then to also present the spending. Yes, somebody calling?
Chair?
Kalipi?
Yes, Chair. On your comments regards to the bill that you suggested that let us give the department a month, I just want to check the other bill. There are two types of bill that we need to deal with. Maybe if you can also include it, is the one that was proposed by the DA and also the department was dealing with it as well.
Oh, no. I think the good raise here, it does not come under, it comes under DCOC, and that's the bill on coalitions. I think it's going to be important to request when the department is going to table that report. It was supposed to be tabled in November. If my memory serves me well, we're expecting it in November. So we can just note that we're expecting that bill to be tabled in November, and the department should confirm that that tabling is going to happen in November. Of course, it's a reason why we're out to Denmark, and so I think when we come back, we'll be ready for it. So let's note that the bill on coalitions, it combines the two. If you recall, honorable members, I did say that that bill at this point has been combined with the one on the private members bill, and I did indicate that I had a meeting with Honorable Michalakis, and we went through and we did agree that in fact most of the bill has been incorporated, but there are a number of aspects which are open for debate where we agree that those matters will be debated when the bill comes to us, because there might be variations there in terms of a number of things. And I recall briefly that most of what was agreed on the bill was around the timeline of when to set up a coalition bill, when to set up when to set up a coalition government, where to set up the executive, and all of those issues. And then the other issue that was agreed was around a timeline in the moving of the votes of no confidence, that they should be after about a year, and that after that there should also be specific reasons, gross misconduct in breach of the constitution or law, which would be the major issues. But then there were issues which we said we would need to thresh out amongst ourselves that relate to the issue of the threshold, and we raised the issue of electoral threshold and executive threshold, and we had comments about that, and the members would recall we had a legal opinion there. Then the other issue that was supposed to be dealt with was the issue of the management of the processing of the
Yes,
no confidence. Yeah. So those issues will come out. I'm just highlighting them because that's going to be part of our discussion as we go to Denmark. But we agree now that we're going to bring that back. So can we move on to the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agent? Any other issues, members? Let's proceed. The recommendations are noted. Department of Traditional Affairs. Here we raise the issues. The reports raised on issues raised by traditional leaders. The issues of the list of recognized kings and queens, issue of a Mampondo kingship, and the issue of the support to the Majesty's Forum, and also report on the tools of trade. Any other issues? You want to comment on any of that? Any additions? That's fine. Let's move on. Municipal Demarcation Board. There are two recommendations that should be noted. Anything else that needs to be added? Let's move on. CRL. The CRL, the question that they have to come back on the issue of that commission, on that committee, that the issues around self-regulation, and then also respond to the comments from the various concerns about the Section 22 committee. And then there were other. We had asked that Honourable Van Wyk would table specific complaints around the issue of the hip hop music that was noted, and in addition, the committee was going to share all the correspondence, the memo to the President and all the correspondence to the CRL, and that the CRL will come back and brief the committee on its issues, but in particular respond to the matters raised. Those are the recommendations, members. Do they reflect accurately the deliberations of our committee? Can I have a mover for adoption of the report? Mover for adoption.
I move for adoption, Chair.
Is that Direko? Yes. Sorry. Was that Direko? I couldn't see the name on the screen. Was the mover for who's the seconder of the motion?
Chairperson, I second.
Okay.
So that's Van Wyk.
Second, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the report is adopted as a true reflection of the deliberations of the committee. Now I open the opportunity for the members to make any other comments or additions, or what might have been left out, or what might think is important to include in the report. Honorable members, Nkosi Buthelezi, any reflections?
Sorry, Chair, that I didn't realize that the speaker was open, but I'm okay. I'm okay, Chair. There's no further reflection on what has been tabled.
Thank you very much, Nkosi. Honorable Labus Kachne.
Good morning, Chair. I have no feedback. I'm fine. Thank you.
Honorable Mkhaliphi.
Thanks, Chair. My network is compromising me. Thanks, okay. Chair. Under CRL, I want to check, as you are on the recommendation, you are saying that the commission must come and brief us on those issues that was raised to the President. I'm just checking if those people who have complained to the President must not be invited as well to come and share some information with the committee.
I think what we should first do, the CRL owes us a broad report on what it is doing, how it's going about them, and on all of these issues. And once they would have done that, then we should consider inviting. Now, let me say it's a bit tricky for me because, firstly, we need to get to understand what the committee is doing as what the CRL is doing as a committee. Once we've gone through that and we are done with them, because we'll then be throwing onto them a whole lot of different issues. Once we're done with that, we can then invite those who raise the questions to come in so that you can then deal with the issue. I would have also loved that by the time we do that, we have also got a report from the minister, because we did refer the matter to the minister to say what have they done about that. And when we bring the members of the public on this one, we should then be also having a report from the minister, so that we have a good discussion there, because obviously not just the CRL but also the minister would have received the concerns raised. Maybe they would be able to talk about what happened from the president. Was we don't have much information about what happened with the presidency. It's not a crisis, but it would be good to clear out our issues with CRL, and then after that get the members of the public to come and we can talk to them.
Okay, great, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Especially when the chair of the commission says that they are acting on the report of the committee, and we have a report of the committee that says it was not processed in Parliament, so therefore it's not a report of Parliament. So I agree with you, Chair. We must clear the air with the commission first.
Yes, in fact, I think we need to emphasize the last point we're making. The Secretariat must give us the report of the previous engagement between the CRL and the Portfolio Committee, because the CRL chairperson says what she is doing is a mandate from the committee. So we need to know. I do know what the issues were at that time. The issues really were about the complaints that came from the public about, abuse of congregants, the use of, consumption of fuel, rodents, grass, allegations of sexual abuse, and all of those issues. And then, of course, was the issue of commercialization. So we need to get the context properly from the committee. So when the CRL comes, we must also have the report from the previous committee meeting. Thank you very much for reminding us of that. That needs to be noted now as well. Any other comments? Any other issue in relation to the whole report? Honorable Van Zyl.
Thank you, Chairperson. We will reserve our comments for the debate in Parliament. Thank you.
All right, Honorable Direko.
Yes. On our side, we are happy with the report and we support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Honorable Ndamase. Hello.
Chair, I'm fine.
You're fine. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Van Wyk.
Chairperson, I am sorted. Thank you very much.
You're sorted. I haven't seen Honorable Mtolo and Mtetwa. Okay. Any other member that could be?
Mtolo is already on the way to Denmark.
He has no visa. He will wait for us until we arrive on Saturday. All
well,
right.
It means traveling by sea.
Yeah. Well, he might be very creative. Anyway, thank you very much, members. So, this brings us then to the conclusion of the process of our budget review process. And so this report will therefore be submitted to Parliament as such. And it is duly adopted by the committee. and the Secretariat will therefore process it in the normal way that these reports have to be processed. Thank you very, very much, honorable members. Let me then say, I see we've got a number of other members who are here. They could be excused, particularly those who come from the departments, because we are done. There won't be any new issues raised, and also will not be needing much of clarification from the members of the department. So you are all excused at this point. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to ask Sherin to flight the agenda. The committee will now be discussing further internal committee issues, the update. But the rest of the members, they are excused, those who are not members of the portfolio committee. Okay, Honorable Sompa, I missed your presence. How are you? Please greet the crowd. Please greet the platform, the members on the platform. Honorable Sompa.
Good Chair. Hope everybody's okay and ready for Denmark. I hear it's very cold outside.
It is very cold, but nevertheless, at this point, we're now looking at the program going forward. There are going to be two announcements. One is the program, the other one is the trip. Honorable Lapus Kahne, you want to raise issues before we get the report?
Thank you, Chair. Now, you just mentioned the thing that I would wanted to raise, and that is the program. And can I make this request? Can we quickly discuss the program, and then those of us that's not going on the tour can leave, and then the people going on the study tour can discuss the program of the study tour. Thank you.
I agree on the first request. We can discuss the program. I don't agree on the second request, because those who are going on behalf of the committee. So it's not a private matter. It's a committee discussion. So you won't be excused on that one.
Chairperson, with all due respect, I do value your opinion, but this is now at this stage just administrative arrangements. If you're going to discuss what you're going to do, because the feedback that the committee is going to bring back is the whole committee's feedback, but the administrative arrangements is really not part of what we're going to be part of.
No, I wouldn't want to preempt the subject. You might have a lot of words of wisdom that are important for those who are going. So I wouldn't like to lose your presence before we conclude on that matter.
Hi, Chair. Fine, Chair.
Yes, certainly. I'll tell you why. You see, what I intended us to do, and firstly, let me say, as a matter of principle, this is a matter of a committee. So it's not like me and Fansela going on a quiet private trip, you see, the two of us, and nobody needs to know about it. So secondly, I do want us to throw a few of the things. I started earlier with a bit of a brief, but I think it's important for us to throw in a bit of contextual discussion as we move on this matter. So please don't leave. I really think would feel very lonely in your absence. So can we ask the Sherin, please talk to us about the committee program. What have you got?
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, members. Chair, here with the program, this is today's meeting. So for the next 2 weeks, we won't be able to meet because some of the members won't be in the country to meet. Then we've left open spaces for our next meeting, which will then be on Tuesday, the 11th of November. And then, according to the new parliamentary program, from the 18th to the 21st of November will be committees. It did not say that we can do oversight. It does say it's committees, but I know if there is oversight that committees wants to do, they can apply to the office of the House chairperson. But in that week, there will be no plenaries. And then on the 25th of November, we will be having a joint meeting with the PC on electricity and energy and the PC on finance on the municipal debt. And then we will be inviting the Department of Electricity and Energy, National Treasury, and the Department of Cooperative Governance. On the 2nd of December, which is the Tuesdays that we are allowed to sit, there will be a plenary, so the committee won't be able to sit on that day. And then we can also still meet on the 9th of December. That is wrong. Parliament will rise on the 9th of December. So we have listed some outstanding issues that we can slot into the dates that we do have. The only thing with the committee week that we have, that same week, the NCOP has a provincial week where the members of the NCOP will be out in provinces. I just want to share the parliamentary program so that you can see that they do have a theme there. So it might be difficult to have municipalities. Let me just share the parliamentary program. So members, what the NCOP will do in the week of the 18th, when we also have committees in the National Assembly, they'll be visiting provinces and under the theme of building viable municipalities for enhanced delivery of basic service to communities. The challenge there is that municipalities will then be attending to the NCOP Provincial Week. There was a suggestion that because we want to go to where we still had KZN on our program, we should look at what the program for KZN is for the Provincial Week and see how we can slot in there. We are still awaiting the program for KZN. So members, that is what we have thus far. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Shireen. Just a few suggestions. We have outstanding municipalities for interview in Northwest, about 5 or so. And then in Gauteng, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so. So then we've got 22 in the Eastern Cape. Now, it might be an idea to use the committee week to clean up all of these municipalities unless we get another better date. So please consider that as one issue, because to do these reports for these municipalities, these provinces, we should have done all of them. We could shorten the process. I think we've learned a lot now. So we can shorten their processes so that it does not have to be as long as what we have been through before. And so I want us to do that. And now we must also make a proviso that we will need to propose to the other committees second people to be available, but we won't wait for all of them to be all ready, because it's possible that we might not get all the committee members from the other committees to be with us. But we need to close this chapter. Then the other proposal to consider is the one you raised about KwaZulu-Natal, that if we find space to do this, in another day, we could then check what the visit by NCOP to KZN is, how it is structured. Because if we can align, I don't know what they might be visiting, all of them or one municipality. The question might be whether we can do a joint oversight and also share that week with the NCOP. Members can comment about that. And then that means that we could cover KZN on the same week as NCOP members are there, because it's not all the whole NCOP, it will be some members, so they can indicate what they are doing, and that if we think we can align, we can then align, and then we can be in one meeting with them where we are together, and then where they don't need to be, they don't need to be, and same with us. So I think we could try and factor that in. Then the question of the gender equality, I think we need to factor it on the available dates. Also, CRL, we need to factor them on available dates. And so maybe members, let's just make comments and allow the team to go and try and work on the basis of the guiding comments that we're going to make. Any other comments, Labus Kachne?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. I just want to give some input on the possibility of combining our oversight with that of the NCOP. How the NCOP provincial weeks work is that each delegation of each province delegation, so all the parties that is in the NCOP are going to the provinces. Then there is one big overarching theme, and it's for the delegation, the total delegation, to make a decision on what they are going to focus within the specific province within that theme. So there might be a little bit slight difference between the provinces. From my experience, having that combined visits, I don't think we will get the most benefit out of that, because with the provincial week, the NCOP delegation calls on the provincial parliament, the MECs and the members to join them. Then it becomes the NCOP delegation, the provincial parliament delegation, and us. And if I think about the time, and they go out and they do site visits, they have discussions the first day, they get a report the same way we are getting a report from the MECs and so on. And the whole idea is to go and see, and they go and they do site visits normally, depends on the focus of that week. I don't think that we will get the most value out of that, although we might think that it will be easier to do. Time-wise, what we are focusing on, the questions that we ask, the deep diving that we started to doing when we're doing our visits will not be possible on a visit like that. That's just the input I want to make, because I've been there for 10 years. I've done a lot of them. I've been on combined things. I was one of the people that said, we can't go on like this because we cannot focus on what we need to focus, each and every one for what they want. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Labus Kachne. Just from what you have said, it looks like we might just be going for a bit of a problematic arrangement. Now, we've already done this combining with other activities like we did with the Eastern Cape Salga. It worked out well, but it actually cost us quite a lot of adjustment that we had to do. So I think we should consider then not overlapping the two. From what you're saying, it's just going to be clumsy. I think let's leave it at that, and then say we need time to be dedicated to the outstanding municipalities. we need to look at when the space for KwaZulu-Natal will come. If it doesn't work out, then we might have to skip it over for the following year. But it will be more worthwhile of us to have all the 3 provinces concluded, submit the report, and then we can then move to the next one next year. If that is what's going to be ultimately possible, we'll have to look at that. We must also consider that we actually left out an unfinished Eastern Cape leg on the traditional leaders and disaster. So we might want to consider doing a day to clean that up, and then we round up everything of what we had planned on the visit to close off all these provinces and then start a whole new leg of provinces next year. I think that might be helpful. So look at the time and let's see. I think members, if we can take that approach, we might probably just allow the team to go and fix it. And my proposal, concretely, we don't combine with NCOP and KZN. Look for a specific dedicated time for KZN. If there is this year, fine. If there isn't, we push it next year. 2, then we use the remainder of the time to clean up the rest of the work which we are supposed to do with the provinces, do the Northwest, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, and then also consider closing up the visit to the traditional leaders on the Eastern Cape. And then with that, we can then move to say, we've done all these provinces, we've closed that aspect, we're starting a whole new program next year. That might sound easier. Then we fit commission, CRL, CGE during the time that's available and the other meetings that have been proposed. Can we leave the team to work on that basis, colleagues? Agreed?
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you very much. Then let's come then back to the Denmark issue. Now, before we, I think Sherin can just give us the logistical issues quickly. I want to come back to my comment, which I asked the Honorable Labuskachni to be present about. Yeah, just take us through the latest on the logistics.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hope members saw the correspondence from the embassy in Denmark that we shared with regard to the program, the weather on that side. I just want to see if I can open that one. So and from the embassy that they're still doing the final negotiations with regards to the program, and once it's finalized, they'll send it to us. With regards to the visas, we've written to the embassy in Pretoria requesting that that one person picks up the passports. So we've requested that the passports be sent to Cape Town so that we can pick up the passports here. They've asked us to do one letter and get everybody to sign it and then send it back to them, which we will do after the meeting. With regards to the question about the SNTs, the SNTs has been signed and it's been sent to members for the facilities to process. So we're hoping that by the end of the day that will have been processed, but we will keep members updated on that one. Thanks. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Now, Shirin and Andile, just can you consider a draft brief, that basically outlines, I think, can pull together from what we've been through in previous discussions, in memos and in meetings, some kind of brief that basically guides what is it that's making the committee want to go to Denmark. There are specific, I think there's a bit of a background we had before. There was also an issue somewhere in our discussion. issues, aspects, or items that we need to be able to focus on and give answers to when we come back. And I'm making this request because if there would then be that kind of guide, the members can just throw in some of the ideas here. It will help us to shape the guide when we get to the other side, or when we structure our report. There must be a clear guidance in terms of what are the concrete things that we want to obtain in terms of the coalitions in Denmark. Now, for one, I think a quick survey of a number of coalition governments, I think that was already done before. We could still, have that as part of our background into this matter. And then the second aspect of the background relates to the coalition government, the scenarios in South Africa with the rise of hung municipalities. There was a table indicating how many were hung municipalities from that time and which time, and at this point, provincial governments as well, and of course leading us now to a coalition government at national level. Now, that background also becomes very important. Then the next aspect of the background relates to various proposals that have been tabled now to deal with this issue. For example, the issues around what the approaches should be in the forming of the coalition. There's been some information, for example, the question of the focus on written agreements that get to be the basis or foundation of the coalition. What the status of those and how those have been managed in various aspects. The question of the timeline associated with the forming of a coalition government. In Brussels, in Brussels, there was a time we were talking about how they had gone on for like 6 months without forming a coalition government. They couldn't agree, but there was no problem. They went on for 6 months without a properly constituted government, and the country was not unstable because of the stability in the country, which is something that you cannot do here. So there are those kinds of examples in terms of timelines that become important. Then there are other issues that then get involved. The issues of the threshold. Again, the issue of threshold, in this case electoral, has been put on the table, either calculated in seats or in percentages, but it's been put on the table. And that also going back to what the situation was for the GNU in 1994, how that was approached. So the issue of coalition of electoral threshold becoming an issue, something that we have to focus on when we get to the other side. And then moving on to issues of the management of coalitions, the structures that are needed, which of these are inter-party, which of these are governmental parties. When we talk here, you hear of GNU talking of a clearinghouse. Now, clearinghouse is basically supposed to be a dispute resolution mechanism. I was talking to some members here about when I was in KZN and we were discussing this issue of coalition, and one of the very experienced parliamentarians said to us, it's a gentleman's agreement. The question of to what extent can you really enforce a coalition agreement by court? I saw those comments are there in the discussion that was held between the department looking at this issue and getting advice from the state law advisor. And of course, for me, I was a bit surprised that they raised it that way. But I think these are the things we need to learn about. Then we go into all of that. And then to how far does this coalition thing go? In the executive, once you go the coalition, is that all? Or you want to then go into other subsequent structures in terms of the different arms of the state and in parliament and in the judicial arm and in the various levels of appointment? How far does this thing go? What is our understanding? All of these issues, I think somehow we need to have a whole shopping list of issues that we could clear in our own minds in terms of how they're approaching that side. Because when we come back here, these issues they'll need us to help guide to make certain choices. Under what circumstances would you approach this? Under what circumstances you might approach it from a different angle? So I thought that you might want to throw into the basket some things that you can put together as issues for consideration as we go through this discussion with the people in Denmark. And then, of course, it's just for us to think before we get there, not to just pick up issues there randomly, but also to be targeted on certain things that we must come back with answers on. That's why I thought that the members shouldn't all leave at this point until we have thrown those ideas. And then, of course, it will help us to structure our approach onto Denmark as well as the approach to the report on our return. That's what I wanted us as members to focus on. Any takers? Anyone who's interested? I see Nkosi. Nkosi Buthelezi, you are in. Welcome, Honorable Mtolo. I see you had some challenges, but we are welcome. This is where we are now. Please proceed, Nkosi.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, esteemed colleagues. I'm very, very pleased, especially to get the opportunity to what do you call it? To comment, because that was my concern. Well, maybe my concern is too strong, but that was really my area of interest to say, if you go on a study tour like this, we need very much that from the time we set out, we know we are of this ad idem, of the same mind as to what do we want to achieve going there, so that then we can compare before we leave there if that goal, or when we come back, if that goal was achieved. Because I think fundamentally, Chair, one needs to know the compelling reasons, number one, of the study tour. Why the study tour? I know it sounds like an obvious question. And even more importantly, why Denmark? And I'm sure that there was some science or some reasons which were compelling as well to choose Denmark. So I think that it's really, from that point of view, that I think that would be for me, and I'm sure for all of us, it will be very helpful that we have something we really need to apply our minds. I'm sure we can never want to tread on wasteful expenditure. I'm not saying that there's any notion that can happen. But I think in the focus, the laser focus on why the study tour, why Denmark, what do we set out from going there that we want to come back with? Do we tick those boxes before coming back, or when we get back here to say what we set out to achieve, the objectives, were they met? And another thing, Chair, I think that I don't know to what extent this happens, because as you will know, I am new to Parliament. I believe that there are certain things which struggle or transcend one committee. Because, for instance, if you talk about coalitions, I want to know to what extent do we share with other committees? Certain areas, of course, there are those. I think there are very few which will be specific to COCTA. What we are going to be looking there and studying really cuts across most. So is there any way where you share with them? Because not everybody can go there, but some are very, very important. For me, for instance, working of coalitions, as you've just touched on them, I think a few, all those you touched on are the ones that I had I set my mind on Kwabe. And then, for instance, I'll be very interested. It's very interesting what you are saying, that for 6 months they were stable and there was no, skies did not drop down. But now the one that I found of particular interest, which I thought I will definitely find out, is how they actually turn down the temperature that we are really battling with. Because if we don't focus on this thing of the political temperature choking municipalities, we also have a big problem, because there are so many of them, Chair, which you find that they just are paralyzed by politics. One, of course, understands that the employees there are coming from political parties. But you know, Chair, they say if the kitchen it's hot in the kitchen because we are cooking, it's great. But if the kitchen is burning down, then it's a problem. I think some of these municipalities, the kitchen is burning down. It's not just that there are different parties, but I know that it's not a plug and play. It's a very, very deep and very serious thing. But if it's not, I think, addressed, and they also won't have an answer just for South Africa and say do A, B, C, D. But I find it concerning because more and more we are finding that this is becoming an issue. But mainly, really, I must say that I'm very, very, I would like to applaud that we have a comprehensive document and agreement as to what are we setting out there to achieve. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Nkosi. Two things. Belgium is a very mature democracy with a very stable economic system, and the politics had matured up, and so it was easy to keep stability because nobody really bothers who's the government of the day on a day-to-day basis. It's just, it's not the same as here, where everything here depends on very dynamic interaction between the population and the and the government because of the history of the country and the fact that it's a new democracy. And so that was one major issue in this case. But there was a discussion by this committee before. In fact, I'm just sending messages to ask if both the researcher and the secretary could still retrieve the original discussion we had. The discussion covered some of the points that I raised. It needs to be amplified based on some of the new issues that arose afterwards, particularly as there were discussions around the coalition's bill. The committee considered a number of countries and then came to a conclusion. So we need to pull that out. In fact, if it was possible, I did ask that we must get that. I think we just it fell off. It fell off because we needed to take that document, look at it, and then improve it as we are now commenting now. That is what I think would be very helpful. So there was actually a discussion. So you should actually be aware that this committee went around quite a bit before we came to a conclusion of going to the study tour, and went around quite a bit of discussion even before we go to choose on Denmark. And then there was something written that was the basis of the original submission. So that would be it. But for now, we need all these comments. Let me take the other members. Honorable Van Zyl, then we'll follow with...
Sorry, Chair, if you don't mind, I'm not trying to initiate dialogue. On that point of sharing, is there any, has that happened before? I'm not saying it should just be started by ourselves. On things that one can share, I suppose, I don't believe that committees should be silos on things that can help cut across in terms of committees. But if it's not in place, it's not in place. I'm just asking.
No, there's nothing in place in relation to this issue of coalition that has been discussed with other departments other than through the Cooperative Portfolio Committee. But we should be open to looking and exploring. For example, I've just had a call yesterday from the chairman of the Home Affairs raising the issues of preparations for next year's elections and briefing by IEC. So we are at some point going to plan a joint committee meeting. So that's one committee that would be for interest. For instance, interested in this kind of joint discussion. But there may be a few others that we can consider. So I think let's just make the suggestion and work on it on the basis of the proposal that you're making.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. Honourable Van Zyl.
Thank you, Chairperson. I won't cover what you and Kosi Buthelezi has said, but I wanted to add on that if it's possible for Andile to maybe, depending on who we meet, if he can maybe do some bios for them, because it will be good for us to understand who the person is that is in front of us so that we can know which political party, what the position. So just for us to have some reading work so that we know a bit about the people that we are meeting. I think that's very important for us. And then also, again, the program is of utmost importance, Chairperson, for us to be able to also pack. If there is anything scheduled, like a dinner with some, high-up people that we don't sort of not pack. I mean, for the gentlemen, it's quite easy in the suits, but for us, it becomes a bit more difficult. So the program, if we can get that as soon as possible. Thank you, Chair.
Don't worry, Honourable Van Zyl, you are well dressed. So you should be covered on any of those activities. Just on a lighter note, I'm going to ask that we provide that information. But important point you are making. We need a profile of all the delegates. Briefly who's who on the committee as we go with photos and so on. So we need that, but we also need a similar thing from the other side. Those who are going to meet as much as we can get. I think the embassy can assist us with that so that we can share before we even get there. And then this background information should be something that should be easier to share so that we could also not just guide ourselves, but also guide the host. What are the issues we're interested in? So that they could actually prepare and be deliberate about it. So I think your point is going to be very helpful. I know we're overloading the team now, but partly the reason why we're actually asked that it's not going to work that we only have one member of staff. We needed a bit more because this is how this thing is beginning to be a bit complex. But we need, therefore, a summary with the faces of the members of the committee, of the members of the delegation, a bit of a background as to who they are, what they've been doing all along. So that would be very, very helpful. Then on the other side, and of course, a bit of an outline of what the COCTA committee is all about, so that we are able to get the other side to prepare for the relevant counterpart for us to be able to say, oh no, this is what we call it this side, and therefore, if this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to suggest you, this is who we suggest we want to meet. Then, of course, the whole breakdown of the program as to where things are going to be. I really hope somebody's going to invite us for dinner, Honourable Van Zyl, but I'm not aware at this point. Okay, thank you. Honourable Mkalipi?
Thanks, Chair. I just want quickly to suggest and agree on the profile and also to conscientize the admin or the officials or staff members when they put the faces of the MPs. It must be done chronologically because I've been observing when they do it, they just do it, these are the members. But because we are going there to share with our experience as well with Denmark, it's very important to paint a picture. How is this coalition that we are having in a form of GNU in South Africa? Who is the leading political party? Who's the second political party? Who's the third, fourth, like that. In terms of the delegation, I want to remind the staff members to ensure what chronological order is used. In terms of my contribution, Chair, I think we've spoken about it very not lengthy last week, but it was in a form of question. When we arrive in Denmark, when we start our program, I will appreciate if the program reflects, for instance, we're a COCTA committee. If they are saying that you are going to meet with Parliament, who in Parliament? Are we meeting the Speaker? Are we meeting the Chairperson and the Portfolio Committee, which is Cooperative in Denmark, in Parliament? Those are the things that I need clarity on so we can have a clear understanding. The document that we had before, I agree with you, Chair, that it needs to be amended. So we can also put the history of coalition in Denmark, because according to my understanding, as much as members must do their research, at least if you can have a brief document that will talk to when did they start this coalition. If I'm not mistaken, it just started in 1900 in Denmark. And then what are the disadvantages and disadvantages of their coalition? That is one. Number two, if the researcher or the content advisor can get a report, because before, I think on the eve of 2024, Denmark invited political parties in South Africa. We were all represented. I can't remember how many was the delegation, but the political parties were invited by Denmark, and we must have that report as a portfolio committee. What did they learn? What did they achieve? And then if we can also get to know that is Denmark coalition is at a national level, provincial level, and municipal level, that one can also help us also in order for us to prepare for our engagement with them. And if we can get that information as soon as possible so we can also prepare on our side, Chair, it will be very appreciated. Thanks. That is my contribution, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Laposkachne. Honorable Laposkachne, do you want to give us a comment?
Chair. My comment would be, listen to all these things. For the study tour, I think what the committee should focus on are the things that's going to help us and be practical in our situation here in South Africa. The bill on the coalitions as it is went, it's a long way. The department had a bill, there was a private member's bill. There's a process that's been followed. And my personal opinion would be, is to focus on the things that is not going to throw the apple cart over. Because it might help us for the committee to go there and come back with 1,000 other ideas of what is already in the process. Then it means we will have to rework that bill, which I don't think would be a good thing. So yes, I think it would be good to focus on the political as well as the legal as well as the cultural impact on the threshold thing, because we know before we leave, that in Denmark there is a 5% threshold, and it would be interesting to know what is how it happened that the smaller parties agreed to that, or that kind of thing. We know that our proposal for a threshold is different to that. Also, on the period that you've mentioned, I think it's very important. We all know that there is a longer period proposed in this bill, that I think it's necessary because there's various reasons, but also to look at the fact that you've also mentioned what kind of structures or what needs to be in place for in a country after an election to still be stabilized if a coalition government can't be formed within 2 weeks or a month or 2 months' time. Because we cannot go and say, okay, we go now for 6 months or something like that, and we are not sure what is the the conditions or the things that needs to be in place for that. And I think those are the big things, and I think we can discuss all the other things there that's been mentioned and learn from that. But I think those are the two big things, and that will give enough discussion as it is in all the encounters going overseas and look at these things. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Very interesting angle as well. The issue of the culture. It's a very interesting issue because it's a major guide in terms of how people behave to each other and also what the public expectations become. So in any case, let's note all of this. Honorable Mtolo, you want to make a comment? Is Honorable Mtolo still on the line? All right, Honorable Frank. Okay, yes, come in, Mtolo.
Yeah, Chair, I'm sorry, but I've been listening. I'm sorry for joining late, but I think Inkosi has covered me and Honorable Van Zyl, so I'll join later for the discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Van Zyl. Honorable Van Wyk, are you able to respond? All right, let's move on.
Chairperson, I'm sorry, I'm still traveling here. Yes, but Chairperson, for now, I'm covered by Honorable Van Zyl for the bios. I'm clear for that point. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sompa.
I'm covered, Chair. I'm covered.
Thank you, Honorable Ndamase. Honorable Ndamase. Honorable Direko.
Thank you, Chair. I'm also covered by what Honorable Van Zyl raised, especially on the issue of profiles of the people that you are going to meet, and also on members being given a short brief on what could be our expectation in going there. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, I think that gives us a good sense of what we should try and do in preparation. Shireen and Andile, are you fine with that? Do you need any further guidance?
Good morning, Chair. I'll just need a bit of clarity on the request by Honorable Malipi regarding chronological order. I couldn't get that. And then the second thing is the biographies of the speakers from Denmark. I think it will be best for us to liaise with our counterparts from that side to provide the information. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. That part, I agree with you. We will need the we'll ask the embassy to give us that kind of background, but we should provide our own. Honorable Mkalipi, just come back. We do want to clarify what your proposal is, just for Andile to understand.
Well, my proposal was for Andile to get a report, if there is any report, on the study tour that Denmark invited party leaders or political parties. I think it was during 2024 before national elections. Just to know what did they discuss, and those are the things. If it's possible, if it's not possible, no, we'll find our way forward.
Okay, that's fine. Now, so what the other point I think you were querying about, you could, for example, as you give a bit of background in terms of the South African situation, then you're going to rank the parties in terms of the chronology of the order of the parties, and that's how you'll structure the brochure of the party of the delegation that goes in that's going to Denmark. In other words, you then structure the order of the parties will be the order of their lineup in Parliament. That's what
that's
what the member is talking about. I'm fine with that, Andile. You understand what the issue is?
Yes, Chair, it's all clear. Thank you very much.
Sure. All right. Honorable Ngosi Telezi.
Thank you, Chair. I just think, Chair, whilst we are very, very diligent, a very diligent committee, we must remember they say all work and no play makes John a dull boy. So I think there must be some programs we look at we will do some things. It goes a long way for cohesion of the team as well. We mustn't ignore that, even if it's not loads of them, where we deliberately say, well, we will do also things privately as a team. And then maybe I'm sure there'll be hopefully a little bit of time for members at leisure, what they can do. Of course, we must not just hang our head on somebody will invite us for dinner or something like that. So I just think we must keep that in mind, because there are always landmarks in the time we have, which we can very cleverly try and coordinate to see, so that really it also goes a long way as a team, so that we are a team at play as well, not just a team at work all the time. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nkosi. You know, in the village, me and we go to, when you come to the village, it's always left for the most senior to censor the chairperson to say, hey. So your point is not lost at all, Nkosi. All right, I think the members must look at the program and help us with their creativity, so that then Nkosi's point is not lost in the whole tour. It's a very important point, though, Nkosi. The other issue as well is that on a tour like this, you don't learn only in meetings. You also learn in visits. You could also visit Parliament. You could visit a museum and pick up something. You can pick up from anywhere. For example, one of the things, I don't know if it's still like that now. Denmark, I think it's Denmark, would be known as, it's not just Christian state, but they would be like Lutheran. I think, and 75% of the population are Lutheran. This kind of thing. So you will find that there's a lot of influence in the way that the government operates that is really based on church influence. So some of those things become very important when you to sit down and look at how the whole issue of coalition thing goes. I was looking through some of the articles here. They talk about coalition government, the art of compromise. So there's a whole area of unwritten, which are less issues that are less political as such, that come in. And some years back, I should say probably some years back, I was premier of the province, and then we had a visit by the Prime Minister of Denmark. And so we were quite interested in, what is the percentage support of your party in parliament? And the gentleman said it's 1%, and he was the Prime Minister. And I said, we're a bit shocked with that. And then he said, no, the dynamics there are that there's so much of political influence that everyone would rather have a 1% prime minister who will be dependent on a lot more of compromise than the one that's got more authority that might force certain policies. So I'm saying that you pick up those things outside in a social engagement. And so if there was some social engagement, they would obviously assist in just creating the understanding of the environment. But anyway, thank you very much. I think your point is well made, Nkos. Any other comments, colleagues? Sherin?
Chairperson, from my side, I would just like to request members to send us the background information so we can put it together and send it to the embassy and request them to do the same for us. Thank you, Chairperson.
Chair?
Yes, Kalipi?
Can Sharon also respond in terms of the SNT, because she told us that we have to go and buy hats, boots, scarf, gloves.
All right. SNT, can you talk about that? Sharon?
The SNT was submitted this morning, so it should be processed by the end of the day. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, Chair, to come again.
Yes.
So is it safe to say Shireen or any staff member is going to collect all our passports and we are going to get it on Saturday when we all meet in our Tambo?
Shireen, you want to respond to that, and also the issue of the block visa request that we spoke about, just to reduce the unease on the members.
Yes, Chairperson, we requested from the embassy that they extend the dates for us to 21 days for our visas, and we put in a request to pick up the passports in Cape Town. They just asked us to send a document with members' signatures authorizing me to pick up the passports in Cape Town. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So the issue that caused a lot of concern was whether the dates changing would affect the visa, the dates on the visa, and so we thought it needed to be closed by having a block within which we are free to go in and out of Denmark, and that the members wanted to know if Sherin has done, and that's your response. She has done it. The second one is that because we are all moving from different parts, it's best to actually get the passports to Sherin, and then we all collected them on the same time on Saturday, so we don't need to worry about passport up until that point. So it means what you need then, Sherin, is a time by which we should all meet. You probably need a lounge somewhere where we will all meet, get our passports, sort our luggage out, what you call send stuff for luggaging together, and also just make sure that if somebody wanted to buy something, there's still time to go into that ahead of the time by which we are expected at the airport. So there should be a common meeting point that will help us to clean up all the loose bits and pieces, so that we don't suddenly discover in flight that there's something missing. Can you make a proposal of a time like that? I think the flight is supposed to leave, from what I saw, it was 19 something. So if you counted 2 hours earlier, maybe we need to meet about 3 or so hours earlier, so to do that. So look at the time and make a suggestion. Honorable Labuskachne?
I don't know if it's too late, but given what you've said, that you go as a group and so on, I would suggest that everyone apply for a multiple entry, so that if those who want to hop over on a train to Sweden are allowed to do so, because if you only have a single entry, you won't be able to leave the borders of Denmark. And it's easy to go to Sweden on a train. It's 1.5 hours. So if it can still be fixed, I would suggest that they put in the visa a multiple entry.
Now, with that suggestion, do you still believe it was right for you to want to stay out of this meeting?
Last one was a long time ago, sir.
You are putting her on the spot, Chairperson.
No, I mean, she's unfair. Can you imagine how much she's been helpful in this whole discussion, and she wanted to be out? Thank you very much for that proposal. Shireen, please consider it. From what I understand, there are a number of countries that should be covered by the Schengen visa. We should allow you to move in between without a problem. If that is not the understanding, please give attention to what the Honourable Member Labuskachne has said. Shirin?
Chair, I will do that. I will speak to the embassy and then inform members. Thank you.
All right, honourable members, any other comments?
Yes, sir. The only comment I want to say is we wish you well on your journey and hope that everything is going to be fine. And please remember that you have to enjoy it as well and bring back good memories and send some photos from time to time. And I hope you enjoy it and come back safely. And yeah, that's from my side.
Now I see where the Nkosi story came from. All right, thank you very much. Very, very nice, kind words from you. Thank you. Please, we will really make sure that this is memorable. Honorable Mdolo?
No, thank you, Chair. So with regard to countries that actually we could visit without a visa, understand that there's a delegation from Parliament that is in Sweden and Stockholm. So if that could be considered as well, so that because it's only 45 minutes drive to Stockholm, if we could also see those members that are from Parliament and from South Africa, if possible. I for one, Chair, I would like to see my colleagues that are there, if I can be able to go to Stockholm, if possible. If I have time. Thank you.
You have to convince us that we have to really believe that it's the colleagues you are following there. That's all.
No, it's true, Chair. It's true, Chair.
No, you don't need to answer it, you know. But listen, I think colleagues, with the time that's available, we should be able to look at gaps wherein, you know, a train trip, you can go to one place, even if you wander into a mall and look at the place and come back, you can do that because that should be at your own cost and all of that. It should be, we should give us the space to be flexible for people to move, just to have a good feel of the place. I think that's a point that the members are making. So let's have a program so that we can see where such things can be fitted. And maybe, Sherin, you could then indicate to the guys at the embassy that this is the program, but in between, if there are areas of leisure where we can see some places of interest that will open up our minds, they could also make suggestions in between, visit museum, visit another place, and so on, which won't be compulsory, but which would be, value adding. So keep that into the program. All right, thank you very much. Any other member?
No, Chair, except that just to talk to colleagues to remind them that, those long and big perfumes, those things that you apply to your body, it must not be so big because they are very strict when it goes to international site in the airport. They just confiscate it if it's not on your bag that you've checked in. So if it's in your handbag, they just take it and it's becoming very painful, just to remind members.
Yes, thank you very much. That's a very good tip to make. Anything else? Okay, well, honorable members, I do hope that we'll have a successful trip, and thank you very much for the members, for all your understanding, those members who couldn't join us. We understood that the constraints of the finances are the reason. May I also suggest then as well that I discussed with the House Chairperson that what we would hope to do is that when there's another trip coming next year, that some of those members who may not have been able to join could also be considered on a rotational basis, so that the committee's experience is broadened. So let's just keep that as a principle that might be helpful when we have to think about this in the future. Otherwise, thanks very much to all the members. I do understand that at some point there was a lot of panic and the members were of the feeling that certain things were off the cracks. I do understand that Sherin, Benja, Nongleto, and the others were working under quite a lot of pressure. And sometimes, we had to go around to look for answers whilst we're still thinking, whilst we're still processing. It's the nature of the work that we have to do. We all have to try and act on the concerns we have with a view to try and assist. Some of the members have come in assisting with various inquiries using their contacts and also researching and coming back with information. So we do understand as well. Thank you very much for that, because that creativity assisted the committee to clean up some of the loose ends. So with all of that, I really hope everything is now in order. We're waiting now to get all the the whole program to be formalized. We're also waiting for when it is formalized, we'll obviously ask for gaps in between so that they should be recreational education that should be incorporated. And then, of course, we also are hoping that the whole background document will be prepared, and that the catalogue of the members visiting in their party order will also be made available. I also, members should also remember to keep some cards. I don't know, I think you can use these electronic cards now, so that if you have to make if you introduce yourself, you could have that as well, so somebody can assist us, to just make sure that you can do that. It's easy to show your name and then show your card, as it were. And whatever we need to do to make this trip as successful, we will certainly do. So, honorable members, thank you for all the preparations. And Shireen and your team, thanks for all the work. You worked under a lot of pressure, but at this point, I think things have come out quite nicely. We must also thank the support from the other members. At some point, we had to wake some of the members up at night, and the House Chairperson's office, the Secretary's office, and so on, when we thought things were needing a lot of support. So, we have really come to this far, and I think everything seems to be in line and in order. So thank you very much, members. Let's therefore bring this meeting to the end.
Copenhagen is in Denmark.
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Nkosi.
I was saying thank you, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much to all the members. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all.
Thank you, Chair.